welcome for the second part of the quarterfinal day. We had some great matches this morning, very exciting thrillers. Hopefully we'll have the next 4 matches the same. I count on that. We're going to start first with the women's quarterfinal. I'm going to introduce you the players, and the first player I want to introduce to you from Belgium, Tinne Gilis. And her opponent from Egypt, Hana Moataz.
Well, welcome back to the Squash on Fire Open quarterfinals night. We had a very exciting morning session with each of the matches going 4 or 5 games. Amina Orfi took out Rachel Arnold in 4. Yusuf Ibrahim, after being down 1 game to love against Greg Lobban, fought back to take the win 3-1. Then we saw Sabrina Sobi fight off the young Malaysian Era Azman to win in 5 games, just under an hour. And then Yusuf Solomon, Todd Harity having a very exciting, very dynamic match with Yusuf Solomon coming out on top in 4 games. But the squash does not stop there. We have a very exciting evening ahead, starting with this matchup between Tinne Gilis and Hana Moataz. Hana Moataz, graduating from Harvard University, very smart player, very nice on and off the court. And Tinne Gilis, who's no stranger to the PSA World Tour, having risen up into the top 10 and playing some great squash at the moment. Both players have had a pretty smooth run to the quarterfinals. Tinne Gilis beating Hea Ali in only 18 minutes, 3-love. She's at the height of her career, ranked 7 in the world, with close to a 60% win rate. She is the defending champion of the Squash on Fire Open. She took out Amina Orfi last year in the final. And on the right, we have Hana Moataz, took down fellow Egyptian patriot Malik Kafagi in 3 games straight. And she is still very young, 23 years of age, also at her career high ranking of 34. Similar win rate percentage. I think we're going to see lots of great things from Moataz in the future. The 2 players have played once before, fairly recently, at the Hong Kong Squash Open 2023 in November, with Tinne Gilis coming out on top, just 22 minutes of play, 3-love, so fairly decisive. We'll see if Moataz has learned from that match and will come out strong tonight. Joining me in the commentary box, fellow Canadian, top 50 in the world, obviously higher than that, Nicole Bunyan.
Hello, Danielle. Welcome back to our virtual commentary box.
It's a lovely box.
Fortunately changed scenery since the last time. It will come through now. Pretty cool to be able to do it virtually. You know, obviously it cuts down on some expenses, but I think still pretty good coverage and means you can cover more events as well, which is a really good addition, I think, to the events on tour.
Yeah, definitely nice to get the high quality streaming, get input. There's a lot of tournaments happening at the moment. The men's event in Houston is starting in 30 minutes as well. But I recommend everyone stay here with us and enjoy this great women's match ahead. Now, I'm going to put you in the hot seat, Nicole. Right off the bat, before they started playing any squash, but what's your prediction for the night?
Well, I believe the last time these two played in Hong Kong, like you alluded to in the intro, it was pretty decisive for Gilis. Now, that was with Moataz coming off the back of a really testing and physical match before that, if I remember correctly. So I think she was kind of flat going into it. So I do think that we could see a better performance from Moataz, but I still think we're looking at a 3-love win for Gilis. Might just be more competitive this time, hopefully.
Yeah, I imagine it will be. It's always a bit of a shock when you come into a match against someone for the first time and just understanding how to read them, understand their patterns of play. And obviously, if she had a tough match beforehand, it does take its toll. But I was very impressed with Gilis yesterday. She really hit her targets in the back of the court, waited for the easy shot, and then was very impressive in the way that she finished off each rally. Very decisive win yesterday against yet another young Egyptian. But here we go.
What I like about Moataz's game is she has a very clear structure around how she likes to play the game and play to her strengths. She's really confident on that backhand side. Both players are, actually. They both, I think, really like the structure to play up and down the left. Very clean hitter of the ball. Just as I say that, smokes one into the tin, but yeah, she really looks like she knows what she's doing out there on the court.
Yeah, definitely. And I think with her, she can sometimes be nervy, at least in the start of her career. She's probably in her second full year on tour. And one thing I noticed when I trained with her in Egypt is that she is a very good practice player, and the way she does structure herself, especially along that backhand wall, is very impressive. But sometimes I feel that when she gets into competitive settings, she gets in her own way, gets a little stiff and nervous, and doesn't fully maximize her potential. But it was nice to see she recently played Frida Muhammad in Detroit and had a very impressive 3-love victory over Muhammad. And so she should be feeling pretty confident, and after having probably the biggest win of her career coming into this match, feeling a bit more relaxed. Oh, beautiful length. Nice fortunate bounce there. Again, just Gilis's quality to the back left corner, 2 points in a row. Oh, it's very positive play from Moataz, that danger zone on the volley. But nice change of shot selection, opting for that cross-court kill.
Really good work from Gilis controlling the middle of the court.
Yeah, she is, but it is very dynamic. I really enjoy the variety that both players are injecting. And then Moataz maybe just looking to end the rally. It was fairly lengthy, not committing fully to the post, standing up as she was hitting it. Again, almost catching that nick, setting up the easy opportunity at the front, really making Moataz stretch to all four corners.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of the players have quite a lot of success in the back left. Some funny bounces, a lot of nicks. Good area
Definitely
to
worth
target.
aiming for it, just adding a bit more height onto the ball to get to go through, and just by doing that, have a chance at catching one of them. Nice straight work from Moataz.
And terrific lift from Gilis as well. Did really well to straighten that.
It's a good shot, but the physicality of Gilis is so impressive. Her retrieval skills have really improved. She's not just reacting and keeping it in play, but you can tell through her training and patterns of play that she's able to get onto the ball and then put in the right shot. It's a little less frantic than it was even just a season ago, and we're seeing that really pay off, and why she's climbing up within the top 10.
Yeah, absolutely. Pretty impressive what's happening in the women's top 10 at the moment. So Gilis get to the final of Cincinnati the other week. I was going to say Detroit, but it's kind of blending together for me a little bit. And, or maybe not the final. Anyway, she played Olivia Weber, who's playing really, really well. And it's just so interesting to see how Weber was able to pretty much chop Gilis, who's playing fantastic squash at the moment. Just shows how everything is going up, not just one level, but several.
Yeah, very impressed with Weaver lately. 2 back-to-back titles. Very hard, strong work ethic. It's good to see it pay off for her, and we are seeing the same with Gilis, even though the result against Weaver wasn't what she had wanted. It is exciting to see everyone pushing each other and challenging those top 4 positions.
Yeah,
Beautiful
Moataz not
finish
quite
there.
finding her range on her length, couple bouncing short and popping loose, and that's just eaten up by Gilis.
Well, 6 game balls for Gilis. Fairly quick game so far. And just takes one beautiful finish. Beautiful way to take that first game. Belgian looking very calm as she leaves the court. Just 9 minutes of play. 11-4. We see Gilis lead 1 game to love. Well, you can hear, compared to the morning session, the crowd's a bit livelier. Everyone's off work. It was definitely nice, even the other day, first round. It was a packed crowd watching both courts. Really stretching Moataz. What do you think Moataz needs to do to get a little bit more comfortable in her play and get into this match?
Well, I think that for Moataz, it's a case of just getting used to playing this sort of level, really. I took a step up playing someone in the top 10, someone with Gilis's physicality. Hana Moataz's best shots are coming back with interest, and I think that's just weighing on her, as the rally wears on. She's able to stay in the rally. She doesn't look outclassed by any means. She's a really solid player, but it just starts to break down throughout the course of the rallies. It's a good squeeze, though, from Moataz.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that when she's fresh, like we saw at the start of the first game, the quality of her length hitting was a lot better. And then as we saw the game go on, it started to land a bit short, pop out. And the thing with Gilis is she's getting her length consistently all the way through the court, making it so much further for Moataz. And so I think the basic starting point will be to get that length through the court, because until then, Gilis doesn't have to do as much work, and she's so fast that the time will just consistently be taken away. I think that's the difference between the top 10 we saw with Frida Mohammed. She does have that same pace that she can put on the ball, but often she'll start going for the kills that land short, which didn't stretch Moataz the same way that Gilis's pace is doing to her.
Absolutely. We're seeing Gilis use her speed as well to get on and hit those counter drops. Oh. Bit wild from Gilis.
Yeah, I think she's starting to. Well, that was fortunate that Hana Moataz reopened up the court, because at that point, Gilis was hitting a lot of cross courts, and you could tell Moataz was really anticipating that cross court from the forehand to the backhand side. And then I think she was a bit surprised when it came back.
Yeah, at the moment, Gilis's length hitting is far superior to Moataz's. See there, she's having to reach behind her all the time. Takes a lot of distance, like you said, Danielle. For Moataz to cover at the front of the court. After you're reaching behind you like that, the diagonal is so far away, isn't it? We're seeing Gilis expose that quite a bit.
It also is, she's very tall in stature, and the more Gilis can twist and turn her and make her go up and down and forward and back, it does take a lot of energy having to do those movements. I'm sure you'd also understand, both of us being pretty tall ourselves, that movement compared to someone who's able to really get low consistently is really tough on the body.
Yeah, it's definitely harder lunging into those front corners for counter drops. And then also, like you said, twisting and turning. It's certainly harder. That's why taller players have to try and volley as much as possible. Use the wingspan to the advantage.
Yeah, she's trying to, but Gilis's length has been so good that she's not really letting Moataz have those opportunities. But just going short one too many times, only within 1 point, and I feel it's mainly due to a drop in focus from Gilis. Obviously, Moataz has stepped up and taken advantage of that, but Gilis is just getting a little impatient, hitting it. That one worked out, but a bit shorter than she was at the start of the game.
Yeah, it's better for Moataz, opting not to go for the straight drops, but the deep kill instead. Oh, that's a good touch from Gilis. No. Lovely response from Moataz. Very delicate trickle boast. Hard to do that with glass court.
No, she's very tricky when she has time.
But like you said earlier, Danielle, the right side wall becomes a little bit easier to manage when it's dark outside. So nice to see a little bit more contrast on that right side wall. A bit easier for the players.
Definitely a lot easier for us to see the ball, I'm sure. A pretty big impact for them. Gilis on that forehand side she gets away with it, but compared to her backhand side, she doesn't take that space. She doesn't adjust her position. She'll end up hitting it really close to her body when it comes at her fast. But you never see that on the backhand side. The backhand side, she's very good at squaring herself off to the wall. And she's pretty fortunate with her reaction to get away with it, but needs to possibly pay attention to that in the future. But fortunate there for Gilis, letting her breathe a little bit with a 3-point cushion.
Well, it's a lovely variation for Moataz. Wish we had a replay for that one. Lovely volley boast.
Just a few of them. Yeah, this is very good from Moataz. She's really stepping up the court, taking advantage of the drop in quality. Gilis' length. Very big point coming up. And she's evened it up. Tell it. Gilis has gone a little bit tense in her shoulders. But Fearless attacks off the serve, follows it up, giving herself a game ball.
She can't serve quick enough either.
Tight.
That's good line hitting from Moataz here. Doing really well to contain the Belgian.
Oh, she ran through it.
Ambitious straight drive from Tinne Gilis. Trying to catch out Hana Moataz, but quality was not there. Just losing her footing a bit.
It's time for a tie break. Very exciting second game. Yeah, Gilis has kind of reverted back to one-pace hitting, becoming very predictable in what she's trying to do. She just needs to take a second, almost reset.
That's ferocious. Well, that looked like an immaculate volley kill from Moataz. Seems like somehow Gilis has been given a let, which I feel is very generous. Quality of shot was high.
Bit of a lifeline for sure.
That would have been reviewed, I think, if we had access.
Again with that boast, it's very fast when she hits it. You don't really see it coming. Line hitting is so impressive. It just keeps running through tighter and tighter into the wall as it gets deeper. And Hana Moataz has just done herself her first game ball of the match.
I think that's been a really good adjustment from Moataz, opting for the deeper, for the kill or for the straight drive when she's got that space. Opting to squeeze Gilis. Oh, she's straight nut. And Moataz is off on left. Somehow Gilis managed to get her racket behind this. straighten it out. Massive point in the match here for Moataz. Had her chances. Definitely goes without saying if she wants to have any joy in this match. I think she really needs to get this second game under her belt.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I'll just put enough pressure on Gilis, that mental pressure, and also gives herself that confidence to keep pushing. Another lifeline for Gilis. The let being played.
Oh, wow. That's so unfortunate. Brutal. You feel Hana Moataz right now just thinks that the world is out to get her. She's had a couple unfortunate calls and now gets a really, really tight shot and somehow Gilis just spoons it off for a winner.
Yeah, it's taking a little bit of time between this point, just to reset. She's been doing everything right, Moataz, in this game. Oh, what a perfect time. Using variation at the right time. Gilis now has game ball. Take a 2-love lead.
Another game ball from Moataz. And she managed to convert this time.
And almost, but not quite.
That's lovely. Really, really well played from the Egyptian.
Well, massive second game. Really felt that Hana Moataz stepped it up, really made those small adjustments. 18 minutes in duration. Hana Moataz really playing impressive squash. Beautiful winners to take that game 15-13. And we are tied at 1 game apiece. I think this will be a really interesting game, real testament to both of their characters, and imagine who can keep their cool as an underdog coming in against a player, and you even things up, you're playing well and you get those opportunities. It's easy to psych yourself out or not have that full belief to get over the finish line. But I think after having such a close second game, Hana Moataz will be feeling pretty confident. You can tell in her body language she's really dialed in, and get the sense that Gilis will be a little bit nervous, kind of rush the play a little bit. Obviously, as a top 10 player, trying to go up the rankings and dealing with the pressure of defending, so different than when you're chasing. And we've seen her chase a lot of top players really well throughout her career, pushing Meryl Sherbini, Hani El-Hamami, Amanda Sobi to 5 games and having those opportunities. And it's a different role now for the Belgian. Beautiful finish. Just looking back, taking her time on the ball. Quick 4-1 lead. Do you think, Nicole, that second game, even though Moataz won it, will have taken its toll physically?
Yeah, I imagine so. It took a lot of mental and physical energy to get over the line. And although that'll have been frustrating for Gilis to have lost the second, and also perhaps just gave her a little bit of a kick in the butt that she needed to regain her focus. You were saying that Gilis was starting to lose her focus around the mid to the end stage of that second, and it's just perhaps been the test that she needed to be forced to find her way back in.
Yeah, she's really tidied things up so far. Beautiful winners. Backhand cross-court drop. Definitely taking all the momentum out of Moataz's sail. Not even trying to run for that one. Being pushed so far back.
Yeah, looking a little dejected here now, Moataz, and rightly so. There's so much energy into that second.
I feel like I have to learn that boast from her. That little trick of boast on the backhand side. She's won a lot of points, or at least put herself in a good position to win a lot of points off of that shot.
Yeah, loads of variety on her backhand side, Moataz.
I feel like that tends to be a shot you see a bit more on the forehand when players run through the ball, maybe with the racket up a little bit too high, but she does it really well on the backhand.
And she does have a good, pretty high racket prep, which I think allows her to have a bit of that step and slight hold. Really good racket preparation overall, I would say. Like, very quick on the backhand side. Ready as soon as she leaves the tee.
Definitely agree, but Gilis just cleaning it up right now with 8 game balls. Very impressive turnaround. And Moataz completely dejected, not even really trying on that last one. Into the tin. Well, that 18-minute second game looks to have affected Moataz. Only 5 minutes to play there. Gilis taking the third, 11-2. Well, a bit of a fortunate shot there from Moataz. A quick point on the board.
Well, I feel the trouble is going to be that it took a lot of energy for Moataz to get over the line in that second game. And it won't have taken as much of a dent out of Gilis, I feel. Used to playing at this pace for matches and matches on end. And of course, she ran away with the third quite comfortably. And so, although one might say, well, Moataz had a bit of a rest in the third, that second will have still done its damage overall. You know, you don't recover from that in just a few minutes.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think you can see she's trying to make the adjustment and pushing her tee up further. But Gilis, once she's relaxed and she's getting it through, it's going to be a lot to negate that once again. It's also a matter of you played your best squash, you hit really good lines, really good length, and then even though you got that game, she wasn't able to do it again in the third. So I think it really comes down to her ability to keep up with the pace and believe that what she was doing was the correct thing instead of panicking and looking for too many solutions instead of just going back to basics.
Absolutely. Consistency. Wow, talk about consistent. I don't think Gilis has missed many of those this match. That was inch perfect. A little late on that, but fortunate. Somehow got away with it. Gilis was a bit annoyed at herself for the slightly lazy footwork.
Well, I haven't seen too many errors from Gilis in this match. at least in the last 2 games. But she needs to be careful with Moataz. Once she has that confidence and she can get into it and feels like she's into the match, she started producing some incredible squash, and I think that really stemmed from her own belief.
Well, there's the trickle boast on the right side. Yeah, maybe you can teach Moataz how to hit the forehand one. She can teach you how to hit the backhand one. Didn't quite come off as intended, I don't think.
No, I know it wasn't a double hit, but it almost had that same trajectory of a double hit that comes up high, and really she just need to simplify and hit deep again. Really try to keep it on that backhand side because her line hitting has been so precise.
A slight little humble there from Gilis.
I don't know what to call that movement.
I don't know.
Not quite a dive.
Bit of a trip, I think, but she's strong and agile enough to not let anything like that phase her. Wow, really, really impressed with Gilis's attacking on the front left side. The follow-up as well is really speedy.
How did she hit that shot so perfectly? Obviously Gilis got it, but that was such a weird angle. Almost caught the nick.
You know, she hit that just kind of broken wrist right in front of her. Good adaptation.
Yeah, it's all going the way of the Belgian now. Really has all the momentum, getting onto that ball, using her movement to take advantage of all of the short balls that Moataz is hitting. Oh wow, didn't have to be that perfect, but it was. Now the Belgian has 7 match balls to earn herself a place in the semifinals.
And there it is.
Great performance from Moataz as well.
Good fight back from Moataz in the second game.
A very commanding performance from Gilis, despite losing that marathon of a second game, 15-13. She really solidified her spot in the semifinals, taking the match 11-4, 13-15, 11-2, 11-3.
What is your first impression for this match?
Well, in just a couple minutes, we'll have the next men's match on between number 1 seed Victor Crouin of France against Saurav Ghosal, number 6 seed of India.
Second game, there was a really hard battle. You definitely went back in the third game with different plan, different style of play. What was in your head at that stage? least your backhand drop shots, they were unbelievable today. We wish you a lot of luck for tomorrow, for the semi-final, and we'll see you back then. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to clean the court just quickly, and then we'll announce the next players, or the players for the next match, I mean. Men's quarterfinal. Okay. So we're going to start the next quarterfinal. As I said, men's quarterfinal. The first player I want to introduce to you is the world ranked number 11 from France, Crouin. And his opponent today from India, Saurav Ghosal. Crouin, 23 years of age, from Marseille. He's 9 years on the tour. He already won 19 titles in his PSA career. He top 10 in 2022. And his opponent, Saurav Ghosal from India, 37 years of age. Already 20 years as a professional squash player. Won 10 titles in his career. He beat yesterday in an exciting match Spencer Lovejoy from the USA. Ladies and gentlemen, have fun with this match.
Well, time for a men's match. In the quarterfinals of the Squash on Fire Open. Got Victor Crouin of France taking on Saurav Ghosal of India. Quite a large age difference between the two. Victor Crouin, he is the #1 seed in this tournament, but he's only 24 years old. On the other hand, Saurav Ghosal is 37 years old, so he's probably one of the older players on tour now. Very, very experienced. He's played well over 400 matches in his time. Let's turn our attention to Victor Crouin, who's been ranked as high as 7, but currently sat just outside the top 10. Managed to convert 19 out of 27 finals. That's pretty astonishing considering he's only really been playing full-time for the past couple years since graduating from Harvard. And Saurav Ghosal, the man in orange. He's been ranked as high as 10 in the world, currently down at 26. A lot of experience under his belt, came through against home interest Spencer Lovejoy, 13-11 in the fourth, so very close match between those two. And these two have actually played twice before. It's 1-1 all in the head-to-heads. They played as recently as last year, Manchester Open, and it was Victor Crouin that came through that 3-1. So, a bit of recent play between the two. And joining me for this match here this evening, Olivia Klein.
How you holding up, Nicole?
Fantastic. So good. Lovely women's match we just finished with, which was great. Very, very few calls, which you like to see. Hoping for more of the same here for the rest of the evening.
I have to say, with this particular match, I think it will be short order for calls. Both of these players extremely clean, fantastic movers, the both of them. I think, honestly, my thing is that I think we're going to be here a long time. I think this match is going to be long and hard. I think we're going to be treated to some fantastic squash, hopefully with very few calls. My guess is probably with very few calls.
Yeah, I hope so. Pretty good sports, the both of them.
I don't know what's in the water over in Pontefract, but it's just incredible to me that you have players like James Willstrip and Saurav Ghosal who are still very much highly competitive on the tour at the latter stages of their careers. I just realized that's making me essentially say that, oh, because they're old. They're not old, but definitely aged, I would say. But it's so fantastic to see. Obviously, huge fans of the game and honestly, pillars of our sport. I think what they have embodied over many years, the hard work, particularly also their beautiful accuracy. It's really been a treat to watch. I know I personally enjoyed watching James play last night, even though he didn't quite get the win over Nathan Lake. It was so fun to watch, and it's just a testament to the kind of player and the kind of person that is cultivated in that club and in that area. I think that just huge fans of squash, and Saurav loves to do this, and I think he makes it pretty clear, as does Victor Crouin. I think he is as well. Huge fan of squash. You can tell he's a squash nut. He watches a lot of squash. He's super keen. I feel like he knows all the stats, and I love that. I love knowing people who play squash who absolutely love it, that's like outside of themselves.
Yeah, both very professional. I actually feel Victor perhaps so professional that kind of like Ghosal and like Willstrop, that he could also have a pretty long career, assuming his body holds up. Sometimes there is a bit of luck with these things when it comes to injuries, but yeah, very similar in that respect. You can manage.
Absolutely. I think.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's one of those things too where like it's pretty clear. I think Victor Crouin is very obvious with how he goes about meticulously training. He's shown videos and stuff of his ghosting patterns, and he's clearly does a lot of movement work, a lot of rehearsal of these big movements that are so now signature French style, but he does it with so much poise and clear knowledge that I think you're right. I think if he decides that he wants to play for a long time, it'll be there for him. Not quite the grinding rallies that we may have thought that would start this match so far, but I think each player just kind of settling in and trying to find their footing.
Yeah, at the moment, Ghosal's having to do a lot of work. Really being stretched out by Crouin.
It's lovely.
Well, I've seen some really good form from Crouin recently. The Tournament of Champions in New York just last month, he was able to dispatch Paul Cole in a really comprehensive, close, but very, very concise. I believe it was 3 games against Paul Cole, which is difficult to do. I mean, it still took an hour, but his tactics were spot on. So it just shows the level that he's playing right now. So it could be interesting to see how he does. He obviously is the first seed here. Look to Crouin. Some might say slightly gutsy playing, an event like this where you're gonna have a lot of matches right before the Windy City, which is next week. But what's your take on that, Olivia? Having played, well, how many weeks did you play on the tour? I mean, I still think of you as playing on the tour. You've only recently retired as of a month ago or so.
Honestly, sometimes with how much squash I've been watching and how much I've been on the court of late, sometimes it doesn't feel like I've retired either to myself. So I was privileged enough to have my first opportunity to compete when I was 13. I got a nice little local spot into the qualifier of the Kara Weimuller. And so on my PSA profile, it said that I started in 2006, which I feel like is, yes, it's true. Yes, it's true. Yeah, that is true. However, I think it's a little like, tall tale to say that I was on tour from that time.
Not
Though,
like
to be honest with you,
at 13.
Oh, no. And I certainly wasn't winning any tournaments or anything like that. But actually, I would say probably by the time I was about 16, I was playing relatively frequently. Um, so I guess, I don't know, call it 15 years.
And how did
15
you?
whirlwind crazy years.
No kidding. A lot of ups and downs in there, for sure. And so, for instance, how would you, how would you go about before a big tournament like Tournament of Champions or Windy City? Would you do what Victor is doing here and he's playing a slightly smaller tournament, one where he's expected to do really well, if not win, right? Would you see that as something that would help prepare you personally, or would you just want to focus on the big tournament?
Honestly, I never really thought of it like that. I always was more concerned with did I feel like playing? Did I feel like it was going to be too much? And honestly, I wasn't always great at managing it. I mean, some of the best times in my career were when I probably signed up for too many tournaments and would just get match after match after match, and you get so what I like to call like match fit. It's not just like, okay, you go to train and you can feel fit and feel great after a big block of training, but actually being able to feel confident playing matches, being under pressure, handling the stress, that's a fitness in and of itself. So I think that actually, provided, Victor doesn't have any super crazy matches, I think even if he makes it to the final, he's going to have a couple of days to kind of get himself back in the mindset and back competing. I think it could be a fantastic thing, right? You build that confidence and you have good match play. And I think for Victor in particular, he seems to have a very growth mindset about this. And for him, I think he sees it as, look, I want to go and compete with the top guys, so I need to go and dip my toe in prior to going and beating the likes of, Paul Cole consistently, or, an Ali Farag. Those guys, it does take a little bit more, and I'm not surprised to see him trying to get his eye and get his tools sharpened before taking it that far. You know.
Yeah,
And to
totally
be fair,
agree.
he's looking very strong here. He's looking very strong here, right? It's one of those fine lines. You don't want to overdo it, but at the same time, if you feel good and you're like, hey, I'm ready to compete, I want to get my campaign going, you get it going.
He's been pretty dominant so far in this first game against Ghosal. They've certainly got a lot of support here, Crouin. Great response from the crowd. Must be some Harvard fans back there somewhere. In just 8 minutes. Victor Crouin leads Saurav Ghosal 1-0. Well, blistering start from Crouin, starting with an immaculate length from the back right corner, and then 2 unforced errors out of court from Ghosal. Looking really sprightly, isn't he, up on the tee? Really proactive.
I mean, the guy didn't even really take a water break. I think he went out, just maybe a droplet of water, electrolytes. He's straight back in, and he's completely unfazed here. Everything that's being thrown at him, he's just kind of dealing with it. And you can see how we talk about professionalism and taking care of your body and doing the right things, preparing well, but even how Victor approaches how he plays there is a care and a deliberation to it that I think, especially now, we're seeing more of a consistency with his approach, and the play is it's immaculate. When he's feeling it, when he's kind of dotting every I and crossing every T, it really is fantastic to watch. Good shot.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Attention to detail like that is really what helped him get across the line like that against Paul Cole last month. That was pretty amazing to watch, I have to say. Just had an answer for everything, and like you said, pinpoint accuracy, dotting the I's and crossing the T's is definitely the way to put it. Extreme attention to detail.
I also feel like he doesn't believe that things are gonna be easy. I think that he's like made peace with the fact that, like, okay, this is a hard. Oh, I love that shot. I was one of his best attributes is the fact that he goes in open leg and is able to straighten that ball out with such pace. Oh, it's just stunning. It's absolutely stunning. But I think what I was kind of saying was that I think he knows that this game is hard, and he's like really okay with that. He's like, in fact, he likes it to be hard. He wants to feel like he's under stress and under duress. He wants to be figuring out the puzzle. Maybe that has something to do with the time he spent at Harvard with Mike Way, who was, is the ultimate preacher of tactical awareness and really what squash is to play. I think that Victor really embodies that, and it's fantastic to watch. I'm excited for him and his career and where it's going. Oh.
Well, the crowd is just as excited as you are, Olivia. Really getting behind the Frenchman. And you can see, since he's raised his standard of play, obviously as we saw last month with the Tournament of Champions, now he's not having to come out with those blinding winners, but he's just going about his business, isn't he? And he's just accumulating tons and tons of pressure, such that Ghosal can't actually get on to the next shot at the moment. The court's just becoming far too big.
Absolutely. And he's doing that with this tight work in getting in the counter. And then the way he's hitting down on the ball from a very pressured position. Like, it's not like Saurav's taking him in willy-nilly to the front corners. It's not casual. It's under pressure, except for maybe that shot there. But in the most part, it's the ability to come down on the ball and across it. Victor has this ball bouncing twice before the sidewall on the low hard cross court, and that makes the court so big. We talk about adding other corners into this court, and those kind of areas, like you said, the 2 feet in front of the service box, or a foot and a half behind the service box, that's a really detrimental area. It's hard to go and cover that ground, and when Victor's hitting into that, it really is so hard. And even for a mover such as Saurav, he's quick, he's nimble. That is really hard to cover.
Yeah, he's certainly got the timing when to play the right shot, doesn't he? He's got that pretty down pat. It's just all quite textbook at the moment.
Oh my goodness. Lovely. Lovely, lovely.
Yeah, I have to feel for the Indian player who's really not being allowed to do anything out there tonight. Crouin has come to play. And it's going a lot more comfortably tonight than it did the last time they played last year in Manchester.
Oh my goodness, that's lovely. That's lovely. Lovely.
Yeah, big taxi from Crouin. Ghosal straight off court to go regroup. Certainly got his work cut out for him here in DC. Crouin leading after just 16 minutes of play. 2 games to love here at Squash on Fire. Well, Olivia, we came in thinking this could be a lengthy affair, but Mr. Crouin has his house in absolute perfect order. I wonder if he's actually, like, his room is tidy and stuff at home. I wonder if he's actually a really tidy, clean person. Squash looks like it.
Oh, I just love that shot. I love that shot. And I'm going to tell you, Nicole, I would probably put 20 bucks that it is immaculate. That if we stepped into his hotel room right now, everything's lined up. The toiletries are in, color order. I bet you the books in his apartment are in alphabetical order, or maybe even Dewey Decimal if we're really getting to the nit. He did go to Harvard, so we'll give him the Dewey Decimal.
Not color coordinated.
Maybe not. Maybe, yeah, you never know. But, I think we're seeing right now why he is making inroads into this, really being in the top echelon of this game, because it's the mature decisions. And I feel for Saurav, because it's really hard when you're coming up against someone who can do no wrong, right? When you're playing someone where things are just flowing and you kind of feel like you have to throw the kitchen sink at them, and ultimately the kitchen sink, even that isn't enough, right? And that you get disheartened, and all of a sudden, even though the match hasn't been long, the movement gets labored because there's a negativity that's kind of seeping into the way that you're thinking and into your mindset.
Yeah, certainly.
I mean, Saurav is finding it hard to even get Victor really off the tee, and just there he's got it finally a little bit wider, a little bit deeper, finally penetrating to the back of the court, but he's finding it hard to get off the volley, and it's not exactly like Victor's a giant, not that I should be one to talk, but his movement is fantastic, but I wouldn't say he's got natural wingspan and reach, but he's just so hard to get off the tee. his MO is that he wants to volley and hunt everything all the time, right?
Yeah, he certainly maximizes his reach, what he has. His racket prep is really efficient, like you talked about with the French style of ghosting. He's really precise. As soon as he moves off the tee, his racket is prepared. It's still, and yet it always kind of seems to be moving with really good spacing, doesn't he? So plenty of options on the ball. Really hard to break down. Shots like that
Absolutely.
from Ghosal just come back with absolute ease from the Frenchman. Yeah, and he's got to be loving this now.
Well, I think he's performing for. I'm sure it's the French consulate that is there, because I'm hearing a lot of like wee wees and allez going on, and although I'm not, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a large Harvard contingent there. I'm also inclined to be like maybe a little bit of French consulate action going on. We are in DC, there's a lot of stuff happening. But I mean, he's just playing fantastic, and I think that Saurav is always going to fight, and he's always going to, take this ball in short with accuracy. But I think he's really under the thumb here. This is a very hard match to get back into. Very, very hard.
Yeah, agreed. It could also be French liquid courage in the form of wine that's giving the crowd some belief with their wee-wees and allez. So a fully stocked bar right next to the court. They do love it there.
I think that we need more of that in the States. I love that there's a bar right next to the court. I mean, it really is like Europe. I mean, there's plenty of clubs in France that are like that, and it creates an energy and an atmosphere, and that's what you're looking for, right? Like, if you're a professional player, there's nothing worse than playing to a crowd of like 2 people, in the middle of somewhere random, and you're like trying to get yourself going. It's like, 1 o'clock on a Wednesday. It's like the only people who are watching are the ref, and like maybe you got one friend, or maybe the person who's warming up, for the next match, right? There is nothing worse where you're like, what? We're in the entertainment business. What is this? And I think what you create with the bar and just in general, like that, when you have an atmosphere like this, is you ask the players to elevate, because they can't help it, right? This is what they do. They want to entertain, they're creative, they're explosive, and there's an art to it. But I think you need a little bit of a crowd to get going, and I love that. I love that they had that working in DC big time.
Yeah, it's a fantastic setup. That's a lovely counter from Crouin. I mean, that rally kind of sums up a lot of the play in this match for me. We saw Ghosal having to make some labored movements into the front where he's a bit off balance, whereas when Crouin is doing that, he's able to perfectly neutralize. He's very well balanced, and like we just saw in that last shot, even comes out with some winners because of his impeccable movement and timing. So yes, it is the accuracy of the shots, but for me, a lot of this match comes down to movement, I would say.
Absolutely. It's who's able to impose the most, right? And it's right now, I mean, it's the victor's world, and we're kind of just living in it, because he's on top of everything right now. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that he sees this and views this as a very important match, regardless of what the score is. He has that attitude of like, next rally is going to be just as intense. I want to play my best squash every single rally. He won't be happy with, making an error here, making a wrong shot selection there. He wants to make the right decisions. He wants to play his absolute best. He wants to finish balls like that into the front of the court with accuracy and, confident decision making. And I mean, he's earned it. 2 love, and 10-4 match ball up. I mean, has been in the driver's seat since the get-go.
Yeah, really hasn't set a foot wrong. He's a Frenchman. Oh, what was that? Oh, good to see Ghosal had a bit of fun, and wow, well appreciated by the crowd as well. Really need a replay. That was something else. That was spectacular. A 1 match ball saved. Still 5 to go. Well, conceded by Ghosal. Very, very clean squash between the two. As we predicted, 0 decisions.
0.
Throwing stuff.
Was there a single decision there?
I don't think so. 27 minutes. 11-6, 11-3, 11-5. Very comprehensive and professional performance from the French number 1. We're going to hear from him with Ronnie now for a short interview.
Fast, let's say fast.
Yeah, no, I'm always expecting the worst. Going into a big game or just losing out the first game in 5 minutes and then having to come back. So I'm always impressed when I keep the lead and I keep it until the end. Happened in my career where I have a big lead and then I just disconnect and it comes back and then it's like they're on court. So no, I'm glad I kept my cool throughout the match, and it's a very solid win for me today.
You obviously are having an unbelievable season this year. It's going so well. What did you do different during summer for the preparation of this season? Or did you do just the same and you got more experience? What is actually the secret?
Yeah, there's never a special secret. Trying to keep the consistency up, trying to show up every day and do some good work every day without trying to shine every time. Just trying to show up.
Well, there we see the results from today's play so far. Victor Crouin most recently coming up against Saurav Ghosal, dispatching him in under 30 minutes. Really impressive stuff from the Frenchman. And still 2 matches to go. Next up in 30 minutes, Menna Walid having a fantastic tournament. She's taking on Tomato Ho from Hong Kong. So catch us again in 30 minutes, right back here.
I put some good miles on the court as well, some good physical training, and first half of the season wasn't as good as expected, but New York was one of my best performances ever. So hopefully I can keep going and win the third title here in Washington DC this week.
Okay, thank you so much. Good luck for the next matches. Ladies and gentlemen, next match will be at 7:30. It's women's quarterfinal. We'll see you back then. There's a bar here, European style. I keep telling you, they have everything. Yeah? Every kind of booze, you can't believe it. They have it. And they have also water, if you want. They don't have tea. No tea. So, see you later. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. We're going to start the next match in a couple of minutes. Please take your seats. The referee is ready, I can see that. Yeah. When you hear my voice, you already bang. Okay, it's time for the next quarterfinal, the last quarterfinal for the women's draw. We have already some great matches, and this one is going to be a great match as well. Ladies and gentlemen, the first player I want to introduce to you is from Hong Kong, Tomato Ho. And our opponent today, from Egypt, Menna Walid.
Well, welcome back for our finals women's match of the night. Gilis of Hong Kong and Menna Walid of Egypt. And a very exciting tournament for Menna Walid, qualifying for this event in the tournament leading up to this. So she's already had a lot of matches under her belt. She is up against Tomato Ho, very smooth player, pretty much uses her long limbs to retrieve and has a nice variation of pace. Winner of this match will be up against Belgium's Tinne Gilis in the semi-final. A very exciting day of squash so far, and I expect we'll have another good match on our hands tonight. But we'll introduce these two players. Starting with the young Egyptian player, Menna Walid, as we said, qualified in the challenger event, taking out Alina Bushma, who unfortunately had to retire pre-love, but she's had an incredible run here at the Squash on Fire Open. 19 years of age, she took out Kenzie Amon in 5 games, and then had a major win against the world number 24, Lucy Turmel. She's down 2 games to love and came back to win in 5. And so we'll see how fresh she is with 2 big matches under her belt. And then she's up against Tomato Ho, 28 years of age. A little far off her highest world ranking of 21. But she had a very convincing win yesterday against Menna Hamed of Egypt. 54% win average with 5 PSA titles to her name. Very deceptive player. She can lift the ball really nicely, but also has a lot of flicks and nice drops. Volley boasts, especially on that forehand side, that are unexpected. These two have never played before on the PSA World Tour, so it'll be interesting to see who's able to adapt to the other player a little bit quicker. And joining me tonight from the US, Olivia Klein.
Hey Danielle, how you doing?
Good, how you doing?
Good, I'm good. I have to admit, I did think that I would be kind of coming to you a little bit worse for the wear after a marathon previous match, but proved to be a bit of a false start from our predictions. I'm nice and refreshed. It was a quick, short, nice match beforehand, and I'm looking forward to getting my teeth sunk into this with you.
Yeah, no, me too. It was a very impressive performance from Victor Crouin against Saurav Ghosal, really taking them apart in 3 quick games. So, for our sake, the viewers' sake, we hope this one is another intense 5-game match. We've seen from the young Egyptian.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So I got to watch a lot of her. I was down coaching one of my students in the qualifier just last weekend, and I coached against Menna, and I have to admit I'm a little taken aback at kind of her meteoric performances that we've been seeing from her this past event. I definitely seen some very impressive things from her. She's a very good volleyer. If you give it to her on the racket, she's going to hit it with pace, and she hits a very solid, powerful ball. But I have to admit, I think that a lot of it comes down to the usual young Egyptian fearlessness. And I think that she's kind of just decided, hey, I have this great opportunity. I'm going to try and make the most of it. And to be quite honest with you, I think if she continues to play like she's been playing, she's got an absolutely great opportunity here for another scalp.
No, it's very insightful. It's nice that you've had the chance to watch her, because I've seen her play a little bit, but I was shocked with the match times in the tournament leading up to this. They were very short, even when there were 4-game matches. Even her one against Kenzie Amon, 5 games, and it was under the 40-minute mark. So I imagine she likes to attack the ball and try and get off there pretty quickly. And at the end of her match yesterday against Lucy Turnbull, it seemed like Lucy either let up, got tired, or just didn't really know what to do. And Menna really soaked it all in, stepped up the court really well.
Totally. It almost, I think, is that fine line between, people think that in order to beat someone who's attacking you, that, you should just go deep and just deprive. But actually being able to really move them, make the court big, use the front of the court is so important. And I caught the tail end of Lucy and Menna yesterday, and I think Lucy just got a little bit passive. She just started hitting only to the back, and it gets readable, right? If you only have to cover one half of the court, it's a lot easier to deal with. And I said to my student last week, I think that one of the biggest things when you are playing these young Egyptians is being, imposing and saying, no, I'm going to take control of the tee. I'm going to be the person hitting you back and taking you in, with precision and with confidence. And they don't want you to, they're not used to that, right? They're used to kind of being, we're like the dominant force, we're the dominant presence. And how important something like that is for just knocking their confidence, where they get a little bit of self-doubt. They're like, hey, wait a second. They're like, that's my identity out there. And I think that kind of really does make a huge difference, Yeah,
I completely agree, especially in juniors. You have a lot of kids who just look at the flag and then automatically panic because they have an idea of what's coming. But at the end of the day, they're humans just like us, and obviously Menna's very skilled. She's mentally tough to get through these matches. I'd say she is a very smooth mover just from watching her at the back court, but being able to expose it at the front. She's a tall girl, and it does take attacking people in and making them do that work. And it is very effective.
Absolutely.
But
I think also like it's also like a presence thing, right? It's also a presence thing from I think the standpoint of it's like when you can make it tough and they know, okay, well, I'm not going to get to dictate what's happening here, but actually I'm going to have to do a lot of responding. I think that's when you're kind of able to make inroads. And again, like I do find that these, and I don't want to limit it to just Egyptians, because I think it's actually young players in general are particularly prone to playing in springs of confidence. And you just have to like quash that confidence really quickly and really early. You can't give them any hope whatsoever. And that's like a very important thing to really be like, hey, no, you're not going to get, I'm not giving you an inch here, you know?
Yeah, especially with young players in that plan B, and not just young players, there are others as well, is if you can take away that A game of theirs and make them have to really think and panic, and it really shows the maturity of their game and if they can find solutions. And the more you pick up, I think the play that comes to mind is Gilis, who really negates a lot of that power just by lifting the ball, resetting. She's not doing anything fancy, but she's doing it well. And then you can almost see that panic with young players because they expect these balls to be winners and they're just not. And trying to find a solution. But you can't be giving away easy points. Like there for Ho, the ball was tight on the forehand, and while there was the open space, just being a bit more patient with it.
I think it comes down to, it's like, is that really the best ball? And can you get a better ball and a better opportunity, right? Like I always think of squash as like a numbers game, right? Like it's like playing cards essentially. It's right. If you're not getting the card that you want, if you're playing blackjack and you've got to wait it out and see if the cards are going to come, there gets to a point where the odds are going to be in your favor, right? The extra ball that you hit tight, the more likely you're going to get the opportunity that you want to come. But that's going to take some time sometimes, right? It's not always the first opportunity that's going to come. And, it's the discipline from waiting for that opportunity that I think you're right. It sets this line of like, these really seasoned, and not just seasoned, but very accomplished professional players, and kind of the upcoming crop / those who maybe didn't quite, make it past a certain level. It comes from that idea of like, okay, well, can you kind of play the odds, or are you going to try and force something here, right? Like if Ho tries to force something here, it's up in the air, right? Those are like 50-50 odds. Why would you want to play that way? Whereas if she doesn't force things, but she plays, very concentrated, very deliberate squash, it's going to play to her favor. She has experience on her side. She has skill on her side.
Yeah, definitely. And I think right now the points where she's losing is when she's just not following up with that execution, swinging through the ball. But when she does, it's getting those boast opportunities at the front. It's a nice lift here, but the other rallies when she just hit the cross without the intention and purpose and that patience is when she can get herself into trouble, because Walid has a very, very strong volleying and attacking shots. So I think, like you said, that step-by-step waiting for the right opportunity, it's crucial. One thing with Ho, though, I've noticed, I've played her quite a few times, is she never looks like she's in a rush. Between points, even when she's moving, she just kind of floats around the court. You don't expect her to necessarily get it back, but then she always does.
It's very languid movement. Yeah, it's very like languid movement. And I think, maybe at times she could afford to try and step forward a little bit and try and take the volley on a little bit more, just to be a little extra punishing to her opponent. But at the same time, if you're able to get balls back and put them into good places, it's kind of to each their own.
Yeah, and I have a feeling it won't happen with Walid, but you can almost sink into her style of play and become a bit too relaxed yourself. And then when she does step into it and put in an attack, you're in trouble. But very fortunate error there from Ho. Frustration from the lead, giving up 4 game balls. Didn't read that at all. Pretty fortunate to get
I don't
even there.
think I don't think she knew where that ball was going there. I think she was just like, oh, what's happened here?
A generous let. I'd say.
Yeah. That's nice.
Well, one beautiful finish,
straightened.
squeezing it in. Yeah. Well, 8 minutes of play. Tomato Ho taking that first game, 11-6. See if there's a response from the young Egyptian, or if Ho will carry on in the way that she has. Just noticed Ho has a decent amount of strapping on her shoulder. That tape doesn't seem to be impacting her too much in her hitting, but you never know what someone's feeling.
Honestly, I feel like she always has tape on there. From all I can remember, she's always had like, I don't know why. Maybe I'm just having like some deja vu, but I swear, I think that tape is like pretty a regular thing for her, if I remember correctly. So, because you don't think of her as like particular, like a big swinger, like a power hitter, so it's kind of hard to envision, like, I don't know, having too many problems with their shoulder, but hey, you never know, right?
It could always be an overuse, and just having that extra support in a match. It'll be interesting to see. Walid had a very slow start against Lucy Termel, but she was down 2 games to love, both 11-5. So it looked like it was going to go the way of the English woman. So I expect we'll see a response, and what a beautiful shot there. Got a point on the board. Bit of an adjustment. She's been playing both of her matches on the other glass court and at Squash on Fire, but they are very different. The other one is super fast off the front wall, a little bit darker. Ball doesn't really sit on the sidewall the way it does here. I imagine it'll take a little bit of time also to adjust to the conditions.
And then not to mention, like last week, she's on just a regular panel court down the road at the University Club. She's definitely had her fair share of different venues and different court textures. She's kind of seen them all on this road trip.
Yeah, definitely. But I guess the more you play, you get quicker at adapting. Your mind's sharper. You're seeing the ball a bit better.
I remember a few years ago when the World Champs were held in Chicago. because they want as many athletes to get on and have a diverse amount of athletes on the glass court. You kind of had this thing where people were going from like glass to regular to glass again, or from regular to glass to regular again. And it's just, I think you kind of, although it's not the easiest thing in the world, I do think that, the best players in the world are able to adjust. That's lovely, well straightened ball there.
I think it kind of caught the front wall nick. I don't think it was supposed to go that way, but worked out for her.
It's even better when you don't know where the ball's going.
Unintentional deception. But yeah, no, it's interesting because when you get onto these glass courts, especially when you're playing against one of the top seeds, especially in the platinum events with Neural Sherbini, Gohar, they're so used to being on the glass court, and it does have a bit of an effect where it really favors that higher ranked player. But I'd say in this case, Ho, while she's had some experience on the glass court, it hasn't been the same level or amount as one of the other players that we've seen. So it is a bit of an equalizer, I think, in this match, whereas normally it wouldn't necessarily be.
I totally agree. It is like, I think glass courts in general are, I think of them as like, they kind of purify squash. Like they really distill it down to its most basic counter, like parts of it, where it's like, if you can do everything very well, and control as much as you can control, you're going to play fantastic squash.
Sorry for interrupting. That was a
little something going on there. But like a regular court, you never know. And I think mayhem doesn't happen often on the glass. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that kind of frantic squash, it's rare. It's rare to see frantic squash on a glass court.
No, definitely. I mean, the more frantic it is, the more your opponent's going to punish it. It's a lot easier to punish someone, and the quality of squash is really apparent on the glass court. She's very calm, Ho. She's been challenged. You can see the Egyptian's just telling herself right now to calm herself down, possibly reset on finding her targets. But Ho is so composed, really looks so casual, as she always does.
Oh, nice little copy spinning. Just when you're talking about calm, cool, and collected and composed, all the C's she's got going on there. But I mean, it's true. She's relaxed. She's in the zone. And when you're starting to feel it, and you're feeling the ball in your fingertips, you can do things like, half volley, top spin, drop shots from the middle of the court for winners.
Yeah, it makes it easy.
Indeed.
Oh, beautiful shot from the lead. Taking Ho by surprise. It is interesting. I think this is a good challenge for Walid because he's used to playing in Egypt with a lot of Egyptian players, lots of pace and attacking shots, and Ho's really takes the pace out of the game, mixes it well, and it's just a completely different style and a good learning opportunity. Obviously, Walid's hoping it's not just a learning opportunity, it's a win. But either way, you learn from your wins and losses.
That's lovely. And also she has that like kind of quintessential, the Egyptian flair, so to speak, able to change the ball late in the racket there, right? That's late in the swing, it's a little bit behind her. She's still able to send it around her body. I mean, she's got assets that I think when she plays her squash to consistency, they're allowed to come out. And it's a matter of like, when you play these top girls, it's easy to kind of get ahead of yourself. I think what she did so well last night was that she seemed to really go back to process-oriented squash, and especially in those last 3 games against Lucy, it wasn't desperate, And I think here she's being a little bit, maybe she's starting to recognize the occasion a little bit, she's not on the other, this is the main court, this is a quarterfinals of a 50K. She got the wild card spot by playoff, and she's playing someone who's well versed in this arena, and it's a stage, and I think that maybe she's a little bit at the moment just a little snatchy about that, right? She's going for kind of silly things, she's leaving herself exposed, and those, look, it's the odd one is going to go in and it's going to win a point, right? And it probably wins more against junior players than it does against senior players. But right now, she should be looking to try and build and build and build and construct. A point isn't right now. The point isn't good enough. She needs 3 or 4 or 5 points to get back into this. Being constructive is what's going to help her do that.
Yeah, a bit more patient, finding that length, because when she gets her body weight into the ball, it really goes through. But that one landing short, giving Ho a nice opportunity and a 2-game lead. And just a minute longer in that first game, 11-5. Tomato Ho playing very composed squash and looking for a third and final game to get herself into the semifinals. Well, Walid's changed her hair from a ponytail to a bun. Imagine it means business time now for her. Trying to complete another comeback, but she'll need to find her targets on the front wall, get her length a bit wider. She wants hope.
I mean, I suppose she did find herself in a very similar situation yesterday. But I think it's a tall order to do two love down to victory back to back. That's a big ask for anyone. I think that right now Ho is kind of finding the angles, right? Oh, and she's into a split and she's back up, and
wow,
clearly this is oh. And she's gonna win that rally after doing the full splits. Don't try that at home, anyone who's watching this.
She made it look way too easy.
I don't think I've ever been that flexible.
Well, actually, the other day, one of the young Egyptian girls had asked to borrow one of my sliders that I used to just use in my warm-up, do lunges, and just have the back foot be able to glide back. So I thought maybe she'd use it for a similar purpose, but nope, it was to slide into the splits in her cool down.
Casual.
Definitely with my one knee pretty much out of commission right now, a little jealous of all of that mobility. So I'm pretty sure Menna can also do them, but the way Tomato just got back up, wild.
just wild. I mean, it just brings me back to, I don't know if you ever saw, but at black ball, there's always seems to be little girls doing like gymnastics class during the tournament whenever they're there, and 9 times out of 10 they're like I mean, they're just sobbing in pain. You can see their coach is like, no, like you're gonna hold this foot even longer, and you can just see like the look on their faces, like, why is this my life? And for Ho, it's like, just another day in the office. I've seen many a pictures and many a time when Ho is just deep in split and springs back up like it's nothing.
Yeah, no problem at all. It's wild. Yeah, definitely happy squash culture is not quite the same as the gymnastics one when it comes to the extent of mobility.
Yep.
I don't think I'd survive. That's a nice lift.
I don't think any of us would.
No.
I agree. I
tomato
think the tomato would, but I agree. I think that the use of the height shows a little bit of an awareness of what's happening that is next level, but I think that right now Tomato's just kind of on top of Menna, and it's going to take more than just a couple of lifts. I think she's going to have to really reframe the mindset to try and get in front and push in front, because right now, I mean, Tomato just looks so in control and just so at ease, even more so than usual.
Definitely. And I think it's one of those things when you're down, you try a shot, you try using a lift, and then if it doesn't work, then you panic and then you switch to another tactic, then you switch again. And it's one of those things you need to have confidence in what you're trying to do. If you're going to use the lift a bit more, you have to commit to it, not just for one rally, but maybe a couple, see if it works, and then you can make the adjustment. And even if it might not have worked, by the time you actually do switch, you're going to keep their opponent on their feet, on edge, because they're expecting you to continue with it, and then you don't. But if you are constantly changing, it just becomes a whole lot of nothing.
Totally. And you show your hand that way, right? You're like, I'm struggling, and you kind of throwing everything you've got at the wall. And I think beating a player who's, I don't want to just say higher rank, because ranking, to me, it's always kind of been one of those things where you really can't control. You can't really control the ranking, right? Like, we don't know who's been playing who and all this stuff. But if you're going to play someone who's been consistently beaten very good players, which is Tomato's had fantastic wins in her career, and if you're going to beat someone of that caliber, it's going to take more than just throwing spaghetti and seeing what sticks. That is not going to be your answer. And I think that's where this is kind of going a little awry for Menna.
Well, you can't knock her effort, really throwing her body around the court, trying to do everything. But I enjoy that saying, a spaghetti and waiting to see if it sticks. I feel like there was a line to the right, but a bit of a gift for Walid. First time we've seen Ho get vocal at all, but I don't think she needs to. She's frustrated with the decision, very much in control. Walid's just over attacking right now. Everything's at the front. The length's just landing too short.
Well, she's clearly frustrated with herself, and she's put in a shift here. It's not like it was ever going to come easy. I think it's obviously maybe she's assuming that things are going to kind of continue as they have been, right? She's been on a bit of a roll, and she's up against an opponent who also understands the opportunity, right? For Tomato, she's like, hey, I want to be in a semifinal. I want to be competing to get into a final. This is a great opportunity for her as well. And I think, it's a tough ask, and maybe Menna wasn't super prepared to have it be as hard as it was going to be. That being said, she still has the ability to put a ball away, and with, you know, with relative consistency when she's in a good position.
Yeah, it's a matter of that expectation, because I'm sure coming in, she's happy to get into the main event and just play freely and as she wants. And then once there's that expectation of it's been going well, I'm going to keep playing well, that's when you can get a bit tense and tight. I actually feel like maybe in the next couple rallies, she caught her with the racket, but this is when she can probably play her most, she can play freely. But a stroke to Ho, catching Walid on that backswing, giving her 4 match balls. Oh, beautiful
Lovely.
finish.
Congratulations to Michael Moore from Hong Kong.
Not even a big celebration. I feel like Ho's just like, yep, that's it. That was the performance I wanted. I'm pleased.
Congratulations.
That's fine.
Well done. Good match.
Yeah, you never really get a sense of her emotions, but she should be happy with her performance today, getting off in under 30 minutes, 11-6, 11-5, 11-6, and we will see her in the semifinals tomorrow against Tinne Gilis.
So,
And in just in 10 minutes time, we'll have the final match of the evening in the men's event. It'll be between Nathan Lake and Iker Pajares. Join us in 10.
So now your next match will be against Tinne Gilis. You're looking forward to that? Good. We wish you good luck tomorrow, and thank you for playing at SquashTV Open this year. Big round of applause to Michael Ho. It's going to take about 7-8 minutes for the next match, the last match of the quarterfinals. Men's match. We'll see you back in a few minutes. first player that I want to introduce you tonight. From Spain, ladies and gentlemen, Iker Pajares. And his opponent from England, Nathan Lake. Iker is a number 20 of the world ranking, 27 years of age from Barcelona. He beat Gilis yesterday, a fantastic man, 3-1. And his opponent from England, Cheltenham. He's 30 years on the tour now. He beat marksman James Ghosal yesterday. With his world time 25 at the moment. The lefty and the righty this match, so enjoy it.
Well, welcome to our final match of the evening here. Should be a really close contest between these two. Nathan Lake of England up against Iker Pajares of Spain. Nathan Lake came through against James Wolstrop yesterday. 3-1. Currently at his highest world ranking of 25. So really good start to the year. Have to give a shout out to his wife Haley for all of the hand feeding that she's been doing recently. Quite interesting. You should go on Instagram and check it out. Highly recommend it. A new feeding tactic. So anyway, Nathan Lake adding some new things to his game, working on his speed he's mentioned recently. And he's up against the Spaniard, Iker Pajares. Just 2 places off of his highest world ranking of 20. 27 years old. Had a pretty close battle with his fellow Spaniard last night, Bernat Jaume. That was 11-9 in the 4th, but nearly 70 minutes for that encounter. So pretty testing affair, but we think that pretty well known for his fitness and his physical abilities. I'm sure he'll be well up for this and in good order tonight. And he is our 3rd seed here. Nathan Lake is the 8th seed. So just a few spots between the two now, with Lake being at his highest world ranking of 25. So a fantastic match to finish us off here. And joining me this evening, Danielle Ray, who's actually in DC currently.
Adding a little bit of a French accent to a very non-French name.
Le Tourneau is that would be probably putting a French accent on. I don't know what I was doing. Not French.
Well, it works. We'll just go with it. But Iker Pajares, semi-finalist here at Squash on Fire 2 years in a row. Last year losing out to the eventual winner, Victor Crouin, and the year before losing out to Mohamed El-Sharbagi. So he does seem to have a good record here in DC. Retrieves a lot of balls, but I do feel like Nathan Lake, his ball control has really improved, his straight hitting, and I'm sure he's feeling pretty confident now, reaching his highest world ranking.
Yeah, superb start to the new year for the Englishman.
Now, how's your Spanish, Nicole?
Very rudimentary. If no one else speaks Spanish in the group, I will hack my way through it. But I would by no means say I speak Spanish. And especially not with the Barcelona accent either. That really throws me for a loop.
Okay, so you're not going to be saying Iker Pajares' name with a strong Spanish accent tonight either, I guess.
No chance.
We'll keep it to French. But no Frenchmen on the court tonight.
No. No, I don't trust myself with accents on TV. Too much to go wrong.
Oh, down the middle shot, first rally. Don't see that too often. Let me save that for later. Well, they have played twice before with Pajares winning both of those matchups. So, pretty lengthy affairs, not necessarily clean cut.
I managed to catch just a little bit of Pajares' match last night. I think it was on court 8, which is the all-blue court. They were running some of the matches on there, as well as the glass. So I think this will be his first encounter on here, whereas Lake was playing Willstrup on the glass last night. So he'll have probably a better feel for the court. And as you mentioned, Danielle, it's pretty fast off the front wall.
Yeah, but I would say this court is still slower than the other court 8. Court 8's really fast at the front, has a bit more of a dying effect at the back than it does on this one. A bit darker too, so just seeing the ball, I think it's an easier transition to go from court 8 to this glass court than the other way around, so it should maybe make him feel a bit more comfortable out there.
Yeah, and you'd know because you train at Squash and Fire quite a bit, and you have done over the years, so I'm sure you're well attuned to the nuances of each of the courts.
Oh yeah, definitely. All the weird bounces. And this court has a few of them. Surprised we haven't seen any boasts into the nick, because this one definitely allows for it. I was saying to Olivia Klein earlier that Mazen Hesham would be very much enjoying this court. And there's also a few weird bounces, especially on that back left at the back of the court.
Yeah, certainly notice the back left. You really have to be ready to react because the ball can bounce out quite irregularly.
That's a good line from Lake. We can definitely tell the Spaniards trying to attack. Well, as I say, I was going to say attack that right wall, but then he's been actually opening it up over onto the forehand of Lake, the lefty. It's interesting. We've seen Pajares have some really big wins throughout the years. At one point taking down Diego Elias, but I feel it's just that consistency of play. He goes through spikes where he can be unstoppable. At one point making the quarterfinals of the British Open, and then other times just not really getting into it or standing out.
Yeah, he's made quite a big jump. Made a lot of improvements in the last couple of years, hasn't he?
He's still pretty young.
Yeah, still a lot of room for improvement. I mean, even Lake, he's always been quite a good technician, very aware tactically, but even Lake, and he's a few years older than Pajares, he's been able to make some improvements and look for those small areas of improvement, and that's what's helped him get to his highest world ranking just recently at the age of 31. So Pajares certainly things he can work on as well. Obviously, his physicality is currently his strong suit, but you can always keep working on your racket work. There's just no limit to that improvement, is there?
I'm sure for Pajares, he felt that should be a stroke. The quality of shot wasn't great, but there was room to play. I think he should have taken that line to the left. But going back to the improvements of Nathan Lake, one thing that's very impressive with Lake is that a lot of people throughout his career have counted him out, really haven't given him kind of the credit that that he deserves. And I think the fact that he's overcome a lot of those voices and naysayers, maybe not being the most natural on court, and getting up to 25 in the world is a true testament to his character, his work ethic, and just self-determination and confidence. But just missing that one slightly. Do you see Lake often? He's back in New York, no longer training in Chicago, if I'm right.
Yeah, no, he is. A couple weeks ago, right before the Florida tournament at Kinetic, Nathan got on for a little bit of 2v1 with Haley and myself against Nathan, and it was very efficient. He was very specific about what he wanted to do. 3 games for 6 points.
Oh, you and Haley got 6 points.
No. We played to 6. We could have played to 11. We played to 6.
Okay.
Yeah. It was about 12 minutes of play. It did not go well. We'll just leave it at that.
Okay, fair enough. Well, should be feeling physically fit. 2v1 if he's feeling pretty confident there. Iker Pajares, very fit, lots of stamina.
Oof.
Yeah, it's pretty close. Obviously, that one was a stroke, but the thing that surprised me with Pajares is there's a couple times in the match so far where he's been kind of looking for the easy let or stroke, and you'd expect him to use that physicality and extend the rallies a bit more instead of looking for an easy out.
Yeah, maybe just a few nerves. Be well aware of Lake's form recently. It's one of the cool things about the weekly rankings. It's a lot more accurate and representative of a player's current form.
Yeah, definitely agree. It was always frustrating when you could have a couple of great tournaments and you'd have to wait a full month, and then by that point you've already signed up for a few tournaments and your ranking doesn't necessarily reflect your seeding in an event. And it's nice that it's definitely quicker to update and get these really exciting matches happening.
Yeah, absolutely. I also think it helps you not get too high and too low about your ranking as well, you know, because it's just something that's constantly in flux. Something I feel I need to tell the juniors quite often, not to get too worried about what their rating is, which I'm always asked about. People get pretty obsessed with their rating over here.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And everyone has their moments, their ebbs and flows. So you can never expect to be the top of your game. Yeah, starting first game so far, Pajares just sneaking out a few of these last few points towards the business end. Lake's a bit frustrated, not hitting those tight lines like he was at the start, and we feel he needs to be attacking that back right, because Pajares sometimes, just with the positioning of his swing, doesn't quite get out of there as well as he does on the other side, just looping it out. Oh, it's tight. Almost looked like Lake was gonna give up on that one, just not really expecting Pajares to get it back, but finish it off quite nicely.
Well, another costly error from Lake. Crept in throughout the first game. Gives Pajares 3 game balls, close out the first. And sails out of court. Some scrappy squash in there between both players, getting a little frantic at times. And it's Iker Pajares who weathered the storm, the better of the two. He's got himself a 1-love lead here. Not the Squash on Fire Open.
Yeah, the ball had gone back behind Pajares when he asked for it. Let given. Sense that Lake's just not fully focused or really relaxed in this match so far. Yeah, Lake is doing so well at the start of the rally, really finding his length, but the second gets picked off by Pajares or he misses, or Lake misses his target, he's really scrambling to get back into it.
Well, it was very hard to read. Certainly didn't think the triple boast was coming in.
He's very wristy, even in his length hitting. Really snaps through it. Just on that forehand.
Well, Lake gave away a few careless errors in the first, and he really can't afford to give too many of those away from really solid positions like that. Very much an unforced error by his standards. Could say this is a decent opportunity for Lake to get to the semis. And I wonder if that's putting any sort of pressure on in the back of his mind. You said Danielle he didn't look quite relaxed yet. Maybe that's weighing on him slightly.
Yeah, possible. And then the ball is just coming back. There's a few shots in this rally that I thought were outright winners, like some beautiful, beautiful volleys. And Pajares is just really resetting, waiting for that right opportunity. But there he goes. Finally got the winner.
Yeah, right now it looks like Pajares is doing a better job of using that fast front wall to his advantage. Nathan Lake is having to react more so.
I'm very frustrated. He feels like Pajares is taking too much time between points, but I also feel like the more he shows it, the more frustrated he gets, he's just going to hurt himself, and Pajares will just thrive on it, take a little bit more time, and it's one of those things, once you vocalize it, then it's in your head and not necessarily the other person's. Interesting. Pajares tends to run through the ball with both feet quite a lot, and obviously he's picking up quite a few balls and able to recover from it. But it'd be interesting at some point, like when he can use that physicality in a more explosive way to go in and out.
Yeah, right now the movement is just enough to put the pressure on Lake. The ball just keeps coming back. But I agree, Danielle, at a certain point that's going to get found out, and we could probably look to clean the movement up a little bit. I mean, that's just too good from Lake. That's an immaculate forehand volley drop from the lefty.
Danger zone. That's smart. Good awareness from Lake. Just waiting for Pajares to move up before setting it back deep. Making so many mistakes today.
Yeah, very fine margins that Lake is playing with right now. No doubt feeling the pressure from Pajares' physical capabilities. Do you feel like this fast front wall is probably an asset to Pajares' game because he can although he's running through the speed off the front wall, if he gets enough on it, he can kind of, for lack of a better word, kind of kind of like hack it around if he needs to. Whereas some squash courts are a little bit more dead, and if you don't hit it, cleanly, if your feet aren't behind the ball, then it's not going to travel through the court. But he's able to kind of make use of it.
Get the sense he's let off just enough right now, letting Lake get back into it. That's a tough movement though for Lake. That boast really gets his back into it.
Phenomenal retrievals coming back from Pajares.
Yeah, it's tough. He was doing a good job, but I think the fact that he's throwing his body around into the ball just slightly late to it. It works for a few shots, but as we see the rally go on, that error is about to come as he just keeps getting stretched and stretched and stretched. And at some point, it's going to be too much. I don't know if that was good.
That looked a little dodgy.
Yeah,
oh wow,
that was a double hit, but beautiful finish. I just feel like Nathan is not focused. He's really caught up in the external.
Yeah, agreed. And it doesn't seem to me like Pajares is taking excessively long between points either. Seems physically in pretty good order. And he's retrieving everything imaginable.
There's not a whole lot of structure. You almost get the sense he's just responding. And Nathan's, you can tell he's trying to do stuff. He's trying to structure the game. It's just a matter of the execution at the end. You hear some Spanish supporters in the crowd.
Well, Lake really intent on rushing Pajares, isn't he?
And that's a fine line. Trying to have that controlled intensity, pushing the pace. Without taking too much of your own time away.
Yeah, it seems to me that Pajares has been dealing better with the quick kind of random rallies that have been happening so far.
Oh, it's poor air, just not getting in position, so upright on that boast. There's no point behind that boast too. Pajares is quick.
Yeah, we haven't seen any labored movements from Pajares into the front. In fact, every time Lake's been going short, Pajares is right up onto it. He looks eager to run to the front of the court. Well, pretty quick end to that second game. Some frustration from Lake, but no joy with the decision in the end. Pajares takes that second game 11-7. And he has himself a very, very identical 2-love lead, 11-7, 11-7. Both 12 minutes in duration. Spaniard leads the Englishman 2-0.
Well, Nicole, what do you think Lake needs to do to get into this? It's been, even though he's gotten 7 points in both games, it really has looked like the Spaniard's been in complete control.
Well, the error count needs to go down, that's for sure. Pajares has been very stingy with his own error count. So he'll be making his shots count. And if you look at the score line, first two games were 11-7, and I think that Lake hit at least 3 errors in each of those games. So if he cuts those out, he managed to convert them, then as you see here, he's managed to convert some excellent winners at the front. So he needs to stay in the positive column when it comes to the conversions.
It seems like he is playing more positively. There's a bit more zip on his balls. Less poking and trying to move the ball. He's actually hitting it with that purpose and intention. The low kills, the drops. And I like the fact that instead of holding and giving Pajares time to recover to the tee after hitting that length, he's really hunting and just going straight forward. Well, shocking tournament events. 5-love lead for the Englishman. Oh, and what a reaction. Right down the middle, but he was ready for it. Really nice adjustment. Yeah, one too many short balls. Trying to get too fancy, I think. Kind of complicating it. Just needs to keep that pace on it. He's kind of reverting back to trying to place the ball a bit softly these last couple rallies instead of just staying on it, just punching it. It's pretty high. That's nice, and there's that snap on the ball. That's earned him points.
Yeah, an important point for him as well. Pajares is just starting to climb his way back.
Much better. Two in a row from Pajares, just shooting off the serve. Wonder if that's just him trying to find a quick point, change the momentum. But what was really working for him was lengthening out the rallies, making Lake do a lot more work than he is in this game.
Yeah, in the blink of an eye now, he's down 7 game balls. There goes the guest. So really good turnaround from Nathan Lake. Surely going to be under 10 minutes for that third game. Yeah, just 6 minutes in duration, 11-3. Nathan Lake extends his campaign here in DC, but he still trails 2 games to 1. It'll be interesting to see how the first part of this 4th game pans out. Nathan Lake really got his house in order in that 3rd game. It's really positive. Completely dismantled the Spaniard.
Yeah, I get the sense Pajares was a bit surprised, didn't expect that sort of response, seeing as the first 2 games weren't easy, but he felt like he was kind of in control. Like a response from Lake. A fair let. He was getting close to the ball, bit of interference. The crowd getting behind Lake, really trying to push this to a fifth. He tried, he hustled, but one too many from Pajares. He's really setting up a lot of his points from the lifts into that back left corner. Nice use of height, having Pajares post out, and then getting it through. Well, big celebration for a monstrous rally.
A lovely change of direction from Lake. Deadly mid-forehand area. Just enough hold, whipping that boast around. That's much better from him. Most of the shots we've seen, or we saw in the first couple games from Lake, Pajares was running onto with ease. Look quite happy to pounce on them at the front of the court. Much like that Dalmatian on the front of the wall. Although I guess that dive actually probably looks more like the Dalmatian right now. But that was better from Lake, though. Just held Pajares' movement.
He's also moving his feet a little bit more, getting the short shots out with a lot more quality, using that height instead of trying to hit out. Because Pajares is really good at anticipating that volley on his opponents in the front of the court.
Oh, wow. That would go on the highlight reel for sure.
So that beautiful shot, really starting to hit through those balls really nicely. Then a shocker, bottom of the tin. Can't afford those if he wants to complete this comeback.
No, completely overcooked that one. Burnt it.
Now, you spent some time in England. Would you say they overcook, undercook their food? And then we can give it a real, and say if it undercooked or overcooked that one.
Definitely the British tend to overcook for sure. Yeah,
All right, we'll
boiled,
keep it with
yes.
that then.
That's
Nice
lovely
finish
touch.
there.
Well, it took him a couple games, but Lake seems to have found his range now with his attacking shots.
A lot more focused. Even there, I was waiting to see if he would be upset about the time between points that Pajares took, but he's bouncing the ball, and you can just tell he's more focused on what he needs to be doing rather than his opponent or the occasion.
Come on, Iker, come on!
Well, Pajares has a couple of very enthusiastic fans in the crowd.
I was just thinking that very insistent cheering, intensity.
You can hear the passion of their voice. For sure. Pajares needs to hang tough in this next stage. He needs to find a way to force the errors now from Lake. They're coming a little too easily. That's danger zone.
Because I feel like Pajares hasn't really made adjustments to his game. He's just been doing what he did at the start, where he's reacting and keeping the ball in play, moving it around, but you don't really see any sort of structure or intention in what he's doing. Obviously, that counter drop looked very nice. A bit fortunate for Lake to get a let there, but I feel if he wants to come back, he's going to make adjustments because Lake is starting to anticipate and get into a rhythm.
Yeah, especially with the ball softening up now. I feel that Pajares in the first couple games really took advantage of a new ball and used the pace to create the pressure. And now, with the softer ball, Lake's able to open up a little bit more, use his skill set, keep the ball nice and short, tight to the sidewall. It's really
good observation.
challenging. Yeah, really challenging the Spaniard.
He's moved his tee up. Pajares trying to take that time away, twist and turn Lake. There's some insistent people in the crowd feeling like that should have been a stroke. No one's holding back tonight.
I love some backseat refs, hey? Well, you feel that that might have been in Pajares' best interest to have asked for a new ball after the third game.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, but Lake can't afford that. Another error. He has a good lead, and one more point will make it a little bit edgier. Oh, that's high. Luckily tight.
I did well to play that. Good composure from Pajares.
A good awareness to just take that extra step back, really pushing Lake into the corner. Then the drop pretty much just had to hit the front wall to get that point.
Much needed response from Lake. Pajares is starting to find his range. Mount has come back. Lake has himself now 2 game balls. Take this into a 5th and final game.
To see if it's taking its. Oh! Wow! Great choice. That both.
Well, the dive was impressive, but couldn't recover quickly enough to catch the follow-up, the powerful volley from Nathan Lake. And wouldn't you believe it? Final match of the evening here in DC. And we are all level. 2 games apiece between Nathan Lake and Iker Pajares. After just 46 minutes of play. So not the longest and most attritional squash that we've seen. Pretty explosive and dynamic, very attacking as well, especially from Lake in the recent games.
Well, Nicole, will Lake complete the comeback? Or do you think Pajares will hold on?
Great question, Danielle. Everyone's thinking it.
And you're not going to give him an answer.
I'm thinking about it. Yeah, I really can't call this one. Feel like Pajares started to find some form as he started to mount that comeback in the 4th. Obviously, he was down by a significant margin, so couldn't quite close the gap, but oh wow, that's slick.
I feel like Pajares has not adjusted his length to the ball dying off. And Lake's done a really good job at adapting. He did have his hand on his waist at the end of that 4th game. Not sure if the physicality's trying to take its toll. Very ambitious cross-court drop there. Just need to lift. Pajares is all the way up the court.
Well, hopefully, whatever happens here, Danielle, hopefully in this 5th game, we'll see both players starting to play their best same time, which we haven't really seen so far throughout this match. It's been kind of lopsided.
Yeah, definitely been up and down. Quality's been hit miss with both players really getting different momentum swings. Yeah, it's a tired air. You can see him bending over a little bit before that serve, a little bit now. Just remember what got him here, and that was really setting up the points. Good length, waiting for the easy opportunity. And hitting in those quick attacks. Well, just snuck up. It was hard to tell from here. Really caught Lake flat-footed. Makes all his work to come back, and he just needs to stay a bit tougher in the final stages. Nice dance moves there, spinning around.
Good squeeze from Pajares. A nice, easy point at this stage of the match. Breathe a little sigh of relief. Especially with the rest of the points he's doing court sprints like here.
Looking pretty fresh as he does them, though. A lot fresher than Lake.
Breaking down a little bit on that forehand drop. But you're right, Danielle Pajares still does look physically in very, very good order. No labored movements from him despite the extreme movements he's been forced to make.
This is where that training in Spain, very fitness and movement oriented, pays off in the final stages of a match, and you just need to rely on it not to break down. And you can see that there with Lake, his movement bending over. Did a good job resetting with the use of the lobs. And then when he had an opportunity, just really not staying strong, focusing on what he needs to do.
Well, you can see the legs are starting to fail the Englishman a little bit now.
Well, 2 strokes in a row, giving Pajares a nice 5-point lead, looking close to the finish line. Credit to Lake for really putting in a good fight.
Yeah, although the third and the fourth games from Lake were rather one-sided to him, well, especially the third one, it did demand a lot of energy to play that
So painful.
really aggressive style of squash. Well, sometimes this is what you have to do. You have to take the sting out of your opponent, and this is exactly what Pajares has done. Now he can get in 5. Had the 2-love lead, weathered the storm, and the comeback from Lake. Good enough. They had 55 minutes. So pretty dynamic squash. Not the most attritional.
For the match.
Exciting to watch. It's Pajares
Fitness
that
means a
takes
lot
it
in squash, isn't it?
3-2 against England's Nathan Lake.
The third time it happened for me in the quarterfinals here. It's kind of fire. Last year I was also 2 up, and I won 3-2. And the first year I played here, same thing. I was 2 up, and then I ended up winning 3-2. So it's like a routine, winning 3-2 in quarterfinals. So happy to make it through. Nathan is a very good opponent. It's always a tough battle against him, and so happy to make it to the semifinals again.
Well, that what surprised me when I was watching this match is why you kept playing in one pace in the second game. It was a lot of cross courts. It was not actually, didn't do a lot with the pace. Was that your plan, or what did you want to do with it?
I'm not very happy with the way I played today. I don't know how I survived it. I just played too short and didn't play good with the front. I was very nervous today, I wanted to win.
Well, there you see all the matches from today from the quarterfinals, both men's and women's. Amina Orfi took down Rachel Arnold 3-1. Really good performance from the Malaysian. That was followed by Yusuf Ibrahim. Very open play between those two. Against Greg Laban, also 3-1. Ira Asman just lost out to Sabrina Sobey in 5. So a bit of a nervy match for the American, but she held off the youngster.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
Yusuf Solomon
Tomorrow in the semifinals. See you back then.
took apart Todd Harity in 4 games, followed by Tinne Gilis, another 4-gamer. Came through against Hana Moataz. And then a very comprehensive performance by Victor Crouin, really chopping Saurav Ghosal. Fantastic form from the Frenchman recently, and he's continuing on here in DC. And Tomato Ho beat Menna Walid in straight games. And then finally, the near comeback from Nathan Lake was warded off by Iker Pajares. So he books his place into the semifinals, which will be starting tomorrow at 1 p.m. local time. So 1 p.m. Eastern, both the men's and the women's semifinals will be going on here in DC. Have a good night and join us again tomorrow.